Let's talk about composition. What is composition? Composition is simply the placement of your subject or other visual elements in your frame. There are a lot of composition rules out there, but we'll only be talking about one of them, and that is the rule of third, which is the most popular of all the composition rules. The rule of third is simply dividing your screen into 3 rectangles, both vertically and horizontally. The rule of third tells you to put your subject at any of the points where each of the line intersects and not in the middle. As you can see from this example, it looks more appealing to the eyes when your subject is on this corner, right on this point, or this other corner here, still at that intersecting point, rather than it being in the middle. This doesn't mean your video won't look good if you have your subject in the middle, but this is just a good rule to follow for you to have a great composition. Now, this is a rule, and rules are meant to be broken. But before you can break any rule, you have to first of all understand it. Once you understand the rule, then you are free to break it. But don't just break any rule without having any creative reason for it. There are other composition rules out there like balance and symmetry, leading lines, and so many others. Let's talk about aspect ratio. Aspect ratio is a proportional relationship between the width and the height of a video. Basically, aspect ratio describes the shape of a video. Sometimes some people are confused with the terms resolution and aspect ratio. Aspect ratio is simply the shape of the video, and resolution is the physical size or the quality of the video. Resolutions are described with the terms HD, SD, 4K, and all. When it comes to aspect ratios, you hear things like 4:3, 16:9, 1:1. A video can be of different resolutions and still have the same aspect ratio. A very common aspect ratio is 16:9. These are the aspect ratios of your TV, your mobile phones, video streaming websites like YouTube, and others. And we have the 21:9, mostly used in movies. That's the aspect ratio where you see black bar at the top and at the bottom of the video you are watching. Now let's talk about resolutions. Resolution is the amount of pixels in a video. A video is made up of a lot of tiny squares which are called pixels. So the amount of pixels in the height and width of the video is what is referred to as resolution. Pixels are tiny little squares that make up a video. The more pixels you have, the more the quality of your video. If you've heard of terms like SD, HD, UHD, or 4K, these are terms used to describe resolution. Right now, HD is what most people shoot on, and a lot of people are moving on to 4K. Here is the picture of resolution name and amount of pixels. Let's talk about codecs. What are codecs? Codecs are responsible for compressing your video into a reasonable file size. And because codecs are meant for compression, they have a way of affecting the quality of your videos. There are 2 types of codecs. We have lossy codecs and lossless codecs. Example of codecs are H.264, H.265, which is also HEVC, ProRes, and so many others. If you use lossy codecs like H.264, it will reduce the quality of a video a little bit to give you a small file size. And if you use a lossless codec like ProRes 422HQ, it will retain the highest quality of the video and give you a very large file size. The standard codec that is used everywhere and really good for internet videos is H.264. And we also have H.265, which is becoming more popular. Let's talk about white balance. What is white balance? White balance is simply a way for you to tell your camera the color of the light that it's looking at. As humans, if we see color, we recognize the colors. If we see a blue color, we know that is blue. If we see green, we know that is green. If we see red, we know that is red. Any color we see as human, we are quick to recognize it. But your camera cannot do that. So you have to help your camera to identify the color by using a settings called white balance. Now, for you to do that properly, there is something called the Kelvin scale. As you can see on your screen right now, that's what the Kelvin scale looks like, which has the range of light temperature from warm to cold. And each of these temperatures are represented with numbers from 1000 Kelvin to 10,000 Kelvin. Now, all of the lights in our environment, all of the lights we use, from the sunlight to your lights in your house, your fluorescent, your bulb, and all of that, they all fall somewhere within the Kelvin scale. Your normal white lights or your daylight outside is around 5500 Kelvin. So what do you need those information for? If you are outside or in a particular light condition and then you want to make a video, you have to adjust your white balance, which is you telling your camera the color that is present there, so that what your camera is seeing will be similar to what your eyes is seeing, and then you have a good output. With the light that is set up here, if I do not adjust my white balance, it can either be too cold, which has blue tint, or too warm, which has a lot of red tints. So you have to adjust your white balance to match the light in your environment for it to have a good video output. If you go to your camera settings, our camera comes with presets and also has auto white balance, but it is always good for you to adjust your white balance by yourself. Or better still, you can use the presets that are available. You have the cloudy, you have daylight, you have under the shade, and so many others. Let's talk about frame rates. What is frame rate? For you to understand it, let's go this way. A video is just an illusion. There are a lot of pictures playing one after the other at a particular speed, which creates the illusion of motion. Now, all of those pictures, they are called frames. So the amount of picture you see in a second is what is known as frame rates. So if you are watching a video and then the video is playing at 24 frames per second, it means you are seeing 24 pictures in a second. If it's 30 frames per second, it means you are seeing 30 pictures in a second. We still have other frames like 60 frames per second, 120 frames per second, and more. Now, if you want to make a choice while shooting your video, because in your camera you can choose the frame rate to shoot on. There's no right or wrong frame rate to use. What you should do is use the frame rate that best suits the video you want to make. If you want a normal playback where they will be talking, maybe like interview and things like that, you want to shoot a 24 frames per second. And if you want to create a slow-mo video, you should shoot in higher frame rate. That's all for this video. If there's anything you expected me to mention that I've not mentioned, kindly drop it in the comment section. I will get to it. Or if there's any video request you have, drop it in the comment section and we'll get to it. On this channel, we make videos on motion graphics, 3D, video editing, camera, and things like that. Kindly subscribe, click on the notification bell so you won't miss the next video. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.